Welcome into the Kansas City Chiefs Report. I am Harrison Graham. Yes, I am at my house, but when news drops, regardless if I'm at work in the studios or at my house, I want to bring you guys the latest Chiefs news and rumors. So subscribe to the channel because the Chiefs have made some cuts and we have you guys covered. A big reason why to hit that subscribe button for the latest Chiefs news and rumors. Tell all your friends as we bring you videos on a daily basis. Hit that sub button. All right, welcome into the show. The Chiefs have cut 5 players, according to Aaron Wilson of the Pro Football Network, who broke today's news. So Chiefs go from 80 to 75 players. Of course, next Tuesday, 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 Central Time, all NFL teams will have to trim down to 53. But here are the cuts today, at least up to this point for Kansas City. Quarterback, Dustin Crum, not Shane Buechele. Tayon Fleet-Davis, the running back. Aaron Parker, the wide receiver. Offensive tackle, Roderick Johnson, who I think when they signed him, they felt like maybe had a chance to be a swing tackle or make this team. He already gets cut here. And then linebacker Mike Rose, who I think we were fairly optimistic when they picked him up as a UDFA that he could maybe battle for a roster spot. Did not show nearly enough. So again, Dustin Crum, Tayon Fleet-Davis, Aaron Parker, Roderick Johnson, and Mike Rose, the first 5 initial cuts for the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll talk about each of these guys as we go along here and why maybe they've gotten cut. We'll start with the quarterback, Dustin Crum. Pretty simple, right? He was clearly QB4 behind Mahomes, Henne, and Buechele. Dustin Crum is not an NFL quarterback. Decently mobile, flashed that mobility in the preseason, but doesn't have the strongest arm. I think spring football could suit him well if he wants to go the XFL route, but not surprised to see him cut. He didn't really put himself into any sort of competition with Buechele during this offseason. Tayon Fleet-Davis flashed a little bit. I actually liked him some, but crowded running back room, man. You've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jarrett McKinnon, Isaiah Pacheco, Ronald Jones, Derek Gore, who's on the PUP list, but those 5 backs are all ahead of Fleet-Davis. So, I mean, there just wasn't really going to be an avenue for him to make this football team. I think that Jerrion Ely will see the same fate as well. So we wish him the best. I think Fleet-Davis could land on a practice squad, maybe even this practice squad, but there really wasn't going to be a path for him to make this roster. Aaron Parker, the wide receiver, same deal. Actually had a nice catch the other night in the final preseason game against the Packers, but just too many damn receivers. I mean, guys like Cornell Powell aren't even going to make this team, and they're clearly ahead of Aaron Parker. So he gets cut. Roderick Johnson, we kind of hit on it. Just didn't show enough. I think they thought he could be a swing tackle type of player for this team, but that is not going to be the case, obviously. And then linebacker Mike Rose. I'm not sure why it didn't work out. Maybe he just wasn't as good as a player as we thought he could be, but obviously you got Willie Gay, you've got Nick Bolton, Leo Chenal, Elijah Lee, Darius Harris, Jermaine Carter, all those guys ahead of Rose. So Mike Rose hits the road as well. Are you surprised by any of these cuts today of Crum, Fleet-Davis, Parker, Johnson, or Rose? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Let me know in the comment section during this YouTube ad break. I'm not surprised, right? Maybe I'm a little surprised Roderick Johnson got cut right now, but I did not think he was going to make the 53, so I'm not surprised that he has been waived. We'll see if he lands somewhere. I think out of these 5 guys, he's probably, the most likely to land on another team because he has some experience. But yeah, I can't sit here and say I'm surprised with any of these cuts. So you're down to 75 players. 22 more are coming. And, it's going to get harder from here. I mean, there's obviously some easier ones that will come. I mentioned a Jerrion Ely type, deep guys at wide receiver and running back. You can trim some of that fat. But then, there's going to be hard decisions to make. I mean, I wrote down 7 or 8 names here of guys on the bubble that I'll be interested to see if they make it or not. The most polarizing one to me is Shane Buechele. A lot of Chiefs Twitter, guys who've covered this team for a long time, the Nate Taylors of the world, have made an argument that he should make this team, and I think it is a good argument. And some have even said if you're going to keep 2 quarterbacks, he should be the second one. Not necessarily, they should keep him as a third, but cut Chad Henne. Now, I'm not sure the Chiefs are going to do that. I don't sense that they're going to do that. Henne didn't play much in the preseason. That tells me that he's going to be on this team. But maybe they wanted to play Buechele more and say, hey, we know what Henne is. Can you top what we think he is? And maybe that's what their approach was. I continue to think that if Buechele makes the team, it'll be as a third quarterback, but I could be wrong. Henne could be a surprise cut. It's happened before across the league where we haven't necessarily seen it coming, but I'd like to see Buechele make it because I think there's a chance he'd get picked up by another squad. The Cardinals tried to poach him last year during the middle of the year, and they had to elevate Buechele, so we know the Chiefs like him. Do they like him enough to put him on the 53 initially this year? We'll have to wait and see. If you had to pick one quarterback to make the roster behind Patrick Mahomes, who you picking? Type SB for Shane Buechele, type C8 for Chad Henne. Let me know in the comments section who you would like to see. A couple of receivers, Josh Gordon, Daurice Fountain. I'll even throw like a Corey Coleman in there. He's looked all right in the preseason as a returner as well. I think Fountain's going to be the guy. Had a big play at receiver this past week. He can play on special teams. I just think he's going to be wide receiver 6 because I think they'll carry 6, and I think he'll be that 6th guy. Justin Watson is safe. Obviously, Mecole Hardman, Sky Moore, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Juju Smith-Schuster, they're not going anywhere. Watson's making it. So I think Fountain is going to be that 6th guy. I don't think they'll go 7. So I think Fountain's going to make it, which means Josh Gordon's going to get cut. Cornell Powell's going to get cut. Aaron Parker already got cut. Coleman's going to get cut. So, yeah, I just think that's going to be the way that ends up going. Some talented receivers in there really are. I think Corey Coleman flashed enough where he could maybe get on a team elsewhere. He showed some good burst as a punt returner during the preseason. Ronald Jones, he made a strong statement in the preseason finale. Thought he ran hard. It's been a quiet camp in preseason for him up until then. With Derek Gore on the PUP list, if the Chiefs carry 4 backs, I think Jones would make it, but I don't know if they'll carry 4. They could definitely get by with Jarrett McKinnon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Isaiah Pacheco. You don't need a 4th back. Now, they might carry 4, but with the fullback Michael Burton going to make this team as well, tend to think you don't need a 4th, so I think it's right on the bubble for Jones. I don't think he did enough to unseat any of the other backs that I consider locks in Pacheco, Edwards-Helaire, and McKinnon, but you never know. I thought he looked good the other night, so maybe that bodes well for him. Darius Harris, I think he locked himself a spot with his performance the other day. I think he was on the bubble, but on the right side of the bubble throughout camp. Made this team last year. He's a good special teams player, and he looked like a guy that if he needed to take some snaps at linebacker, he could do so. I thought he looked pretty good in this final preseason game. Joshua Kaindoh had a sack. It was late in the game, and if you're in the game late in the game, usually doesn't bode well, but second-year player, 5th-round pick last year. Is that enough to keep him? I'd like to see him make it just to see if he can continue to develop. He's talented. He was a huge recruit out of high school, never quite put it all together at Florida State, but the Chiefs brought him in here because of that raw talent. I don't know. We'll see. He's right there on the bubble. It's going to be tough. I think, players 50 through 60, they got to pick 4, 50, 51, 52, 53. They got to figure out who those 4 guys are. Nazeeh Johnson, the 7th round rookie defensive back, he's there on the bubble. I'll say this, Joshua Williams did not have his best game the other night. Now, I think he's going to be safe. He's had a good camp in preseason, but he didn't play well the other night. I'm not saying he's in danger of getting cut, but didn't want to mention that. He's kind of been CB4 throughout the preseason. Maybe a Jalen Watson could jump him as CB4, but I do think he'll make it, but didn't want to mention that. Chris Lammons, DiCaprio Bootle. I think Lammons makes it over Bootle because Lammons has better special teams value, and he had a nice pick in the second preseason game. So it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how these final few spots break down because it's going to come down to the wire like it always does. These are not easy decisions for Brett Veach and Andy Reid to make. Now, name a player on the Chiefs roster bubble that you are rooting for. Maybe there's someone you'd like to see maybe make it. Maybe you'd like to see Josh Gordon make this team. Shane Buechele. For me, it's Buechele. I think he's earned it. I think he's worth the investment because I think he can be a long-term backup quarterback to Patrick Mahomes. And if you found that as an undrafted free agent last year, that is incredible value. I'd like to see him make it. I'm rooting for him. Let me know who you are rooting for on the roster bubble down in the comments section. All right, that's going to do it for now here on the Chiefs Report. Please subscribe. We will have more videos to come leading up to Tuesday's roster cut deadline. 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Central Time. Don't miss it here on the Chiefs Report. All right, that's going to do it for me. We'll see you next time here on the show.